Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF. Bava Basra DAF Daled. We are right on top of the Amud, beginning at the first word, Ahadar le Klila de Yaili. Back to the story regarding Hurdus, who was a slave in the Chashmonai royal household. He rebelled against his master, killed him out, and then he felt threatened. Well, justifiably, he felt threatened by the Chachamim, who he perceived are against him, will oppose his reign, because the Pasuk dictates that we appoint somebody mikerev achecha as a king. And he says, look, Hurdu said to himself, look, the Chacham are the ones who learn that the Pasuk rules out, excludes an Eved from being a king. He's not mikerev achecha, right? He's not an original Yisrael from birth. So, in order to reinforce his reign, he killed out all the Chachamim, but he left one Chacham alive, the Amoira Bava ben Buta. Ahadali Klila Diyali. He placed a band, a headband, Diyali, made from porcupine skin, and it blinded him. It went into his eyes. Nakrinu le'ene. Yom echad, so one day Hurdus wanted to test Bava ben Buta's loyalty. He left him over as an advisor. And one thing he knew, that he doesn't have the smarts that the Chachamim have, so he left over one Chacham as an advisor. So one day he approaches him clandestinely, pretending to be just an ordinary person, taking advantage of his lack of sight. Yom echad also, he comes over, and he sits down with him. Amar, and he turns to Bava ben Buta, presumably using a pretend voice, and he says, Chazimar hai avda bisha. Do you see that? Do you notice this bad Eved, this slave Micah Eved? Look what he did. He grabbed the kingdom. Amar le. So Bava ben Buta responds, so what do you want from me? My Aved le. What do you want me to do to him? Amar le. So he says, Nolat yemar. Why don't you curse him? Amar le says, no. Ksiv gam b'mada'acha. The pasuk warns, even in your mind, Melech al tekala, don't curse a king. Don't get into that. Don't go that road. Don't go down that road. Amar le. So Bava ben Buta responds. He kept up the argument. Hi, love Melech. Look, he's not really a king. He's not a legitimate king. Amar le. So he responded, okay, granted, let's say, but at least V'liyavi Asher, he's no worse than a wealthy man. V'liyavi Asher ba'alma. Let's treat him like a regular wealthy man who should not be cursed. Out of respect, out of uksiv ubechadre mishkavcha, even in your bedroom, al tekalel asher, you should not curse an asher. So Bava ben Buta responded, according to Girsa here on the side, Amalei ha'avdahu. Look, but he's a slave. He's not a wealthy man. He's just a. So Bava ben Buta responded to that. V'lo yehei elo nasi. Okay, at worst he's at least a leader. Right? He's leading the nation. You're not meant to curse a nasi. He responded. He kept up the argument. We have a drasha. Now he was very learned. We have a drasha. It only applies to a nasi who conforms, who complies to the way of life, to the Yiddish way of life. This fellow Hurdus, he's an outcast. Amalei Bava ben Buta responds, well, what do you want from him? I'm afraid of him. I have fear. I'm not going to start up with him. Amalei. So he responded, well, there's nobody around. There's nobody here that will go tell him what we're doing. It's just me and you. It's me and you, Yasivna, sitting here. Amalei, so Bava responded, Ksiv, well, even here, Ksiv, the pasuk says, don't take chances. Even the birds can transfer the words. The walls have ears. Amalei, okay, seeing his persistence and his in his refusal to submit to this type of pressure, to curse, to go along with this scheme, Amalei, so he finally revealed himself. Ano, who? Guess what? I am the man. I am Hurdus. And if only I would have realized initially, the Zari Rabbon Kuliyai, that the Chacham was so careful and I wouldn't have felt threatened by them. I would have not taken the drastic step by killing them out. Because now I see how respectful they are to authority, and I wouldn't have done what I've done. Okay, what could I do now? How could I repent? How could I rectify what I did? So he's referring to himself in third person. My takante, what is the takana dahugara for this man? So Bava Basra responds, you have to rectify in the following way. Who? He. Again, third person, referring to him. Who? You. You extinguished the light of the world. The Chachamim are filled with Torah. The Chsiv, as the Pasuk says, Kiner mitzvah Torah. You undid that. You have to refill the world with Torah, with light. Go and be involved in rebuilding, restoring the light of the world, which is the Beis HaMikdash, the beacon of light in the world. The Chsiv, all the Goyim will stream to the Beis HaMikdash's light. According to this version, his response was slightly different. When he was asked, what kind of teshuvah can I do? He responded, you blinded the eyes of the world, which are the Chachamim, the leaders of the generation, who provide clarity and direction. The Chsiv, as the Pasuk relates to them, the eyes of the nation, the leaders will err, will violate. So we see that they're called Einei Ha'eda. You took that away, you have to restore that. Restore the eye of the world, the Beis HaMikdash, which provides spiritual clarity. We see that the Beis HaMikdash is like the apple of our eyes. Hurdush responds, okay, I'll do it, but I'm afraid of the authorities, Rashi says. At that point, they were kafaf l'malchus roimi. They were subordinate to the Roman Empire. They couldn't just take such a drastic, step which might be perceived as rebellious. Armalei, so Bava Basra tells him, okay, you know what? Pretend that you're asking them for advice, and then go ahead and do it. Like they say, do now, ask later, right? Armalei shtar shlicha, send a messenger to Rome. By the time he gets back, we'll be done. V'leizel shata, it'll be a year till he gets there. V'le'akiv shata, he'll spend a year over there till he presents his case, till he gets his whole, V'le'adar shata, a year for the return trip. By the time the 3 years are up, we'll be done the Beis HaMikdash. By this time, Sasraslei, he will be able to demolish the Beis HaMikdash, the current Beis HaMikdash, Ubanislei, and rebuild a new one. Avadachi, okay. So he adopted the plan, he followed through, he sent the shliach, and then he got a message in return. Sholchalei, they responded, look, what are you holding? Imloi satarta, if you haven't yet taken apart the old Beis HaMikdash, al tistar, don't do it anymore. Vim sartarta, if you already took it apart, al tivni, don't rebuild it. Vim sartarta banisa, if you demolished and rebuilt. Avda bisha, you lowly bad eved. Basa de avden mismalchen, after you do it, then you ask. Im zaynach halach, if you have your weapon on you, if you're proud of your position, we know what you are, you're just a plain slave. Safrach kan, your sefer yuchsen, your family records are right here. We know what you really are. Loi raka, you're not a king. Loi baraka, nor the son of a king. Rather, hurdus, that's you. Avda, a slave. Klani misavat, he made himself go free. He really doesn't belong where he is now. Now, what does raka mean? My raka, malchusa means a king. T'chsiv anechi rach, rach, umashuach melech, davar melech. Use the term rach relating to himself being a melech. But same another source for this, Mihacha from Yosef HaTzadik. Vayikra was one of Avrich. He was called Avrich because of this point. Amri, the following was told about the building, the magnificent Beis HaMikdash that Hurdus renovated. Mishalei ra binyan Hurdus. Whoever did not experience the beauty of Hurdus' Beis HaMikdash, lo ra binyan noeh meyamav. It's as though he never saw a nice building. That was the most gorgeous, exquisitely built building. But my banya, what materials did he use to build the Beis HaMikdash? Amarabba, v'avnei shisha marmor. Marble of different colors. Shisha is green, says Rashi. Marmor is white. So it was that green-white type of balance. Ikadamri, others added a third color, blue as well. Ba'avni kuchla, blue. Shisha marble, green and white. Afik shafa. Va'ayil. Afik safa. Va'ayil safa. And basically he did them in courses. So the one course went a little bit out, one a little in. So some stuck further out and some were inverted. Why did he sort of zigzag the rows? Kechat and Kabbalah see this, that sticks to the cement, it sticks onto the wall. He figured, let me single tone it, let me plate the whole wall with gold to make it really look good. Amalei Rabbanan said, no, this is nicer actually. 2-tone, 3-tone is nicer. Shafki, leave it, it's even nicer now. The Mechse, it looks like waves at sea. The Mechse ki idvasa. Asks the Gemara, okay, we know the whole story. Bava Basra advised him to rebuild, and he was successful. It came out looking really nice. But a more fundamental question here is to be asked. Bava Basra, how did he offer advice to Hurdas, who was a Rasha? How can we find that Daniel, who was a tzaddik, was punished? You know why? Because he offered advice who was a big Rasha. So when he experienced that dream, a scary dream, he gave him that advice to delay the calamity that was to befall him. Shenamar Lahin Malka, true my king, Malki, my advice, Yishba Allah should find favor in your eyes, accept my advice, which is redeem your sins with it. Giving tzedakah, give a lot of tzedakah. V'avisichan your sins b'mechan ani, by gracing poor people. This will prolong your tranquility. And that's what happened. Uksiv, and the pasuk says, in fact, the dream did come into realization. Kula mata al mechadnetzar malka. Everything that he saw there, he turned into an animal. Everything actually happened, but it took a while. It was delayed because of this good deed that he did due to Daniel's advice. It was only 12 months later when it happened. So why did Bava Basra advise Hurdas to do something good? One option is Shani Avda. Here it's an Eved. He's not a guy, he's an Eved who has mitzvahs like an Isha. He has an obligation to do Teshuvah. So of course, it was good that he advised him to do Teshuvah. Another pshat. Shani Beis HaMikdash. In contrast to Nebuchadnezzar's situation where it was just benefiting him, and he should not have given him that good advice, here it was about rebuilding the Beis HaMikdash, which we learned yesterday according to one pshat. There was something wrong, there was something structurally deficient with the old one. So here it's for the betterment of the community. It was a communal need, the Klal Yisrael need. Dilei Malchus, and without the king's, authorities' help, you can't build it. So that's why he did it. Asks the Gemara one more point. With Daniel Manol and Dayanish, we're assuming Daniel experienced punishment. How do you know that? Where do you see that? Is it because of the pasuk in Megillas Esther? Esther summoned Hassach. Who is that? V'amarav Hassach, that's Daniel. And why was he called Hassach? So we have two opinions. So according to the Shita, which says he was chopped off of his gdula, which basically means he was demoted, he lost his position of authority, of prominence. So we see that he was punished. But according to the other interpretation of Hassach, which actually was something positive for him, Shekol Divrei Malchus, all the royal edicts and goings on, he had the final word that was according to his say. So he was very much a player in the royal setting there. Michael Amemar, so what do we see that he was punished? Answers the Gemara, 1 second. Remember the lion's den, right? The Shadu, they tossed him, they threw him in Laguva Dar Yivasa. They threw him into a lion's den, and that was his punishment. Okay, so this pretty much sums up the story with Hurdas, who was really an Eved from the Chashmonaim. He killed him out. He took over the Malchus, killed out the Chachamim. He left Bava Basra as a sole survivor who advised him to rebuild the Beis HaMikdash, and he was successful in doing a really magnificent job. Continues the Gemara. Hakoil Kiminig Medina. So back to the Mishnah. We have a chotzer, right? A jointly owned yard, which wants to be, they'd like to divide, they'd like to build a wall. So bottom line, you follow the accepted practice in terms of the building material, right? What would they use? That's Kiminig Medina, according to the local, bylaws. Hakoil Asuyamai. Now, what is hakoil? Hakoil. The word hakoil is covering something extra. We pretty much covered, stones and bricks. We discussed everything. What's the mission trying to? What if you're living in a real frugal place where they use just palm branches and other types of branches, right? Basically, they make flimsy picket fences. So if that's the going practice, you do that as well. You can't force your neighbor to sponsor a more substantial wall. And due to the fact that they're both contributing, so if it collapses, if it buckles down, if the wall buckles, they get back their material, so they split the material into two, and likewise the makam, the space upon which the wall was sitting, we assume it belonged to both, so they both take back half their space. Pshita, well, obviously, if they both built it, then, why else? Why not? It must be speaking the nafal l'shusul chad v'nai. What happened was that the stones toppled into one neighbor's property. Inami or the faninu chad l'shusul day. Or he cleared it into his property. So now it's sitting in his possession. So now perhaps he can claim ownership. Now the time perhaps we can say, Nahavi idach, if he claims that it was totally his, so the other fellow has to prove his case. If you want to extract something from your friend who is in possession of the item, you have to prove your case. No, the point of the Mishnah, the going assumption is that it was done jointly, and therefore, irrespective of who is in physical possession, it's split down the middle. Now, the Gemara has a kasha on this next part of the Mishnah, which discusses building a fence around a garden where they grow vegetables, where it's actually more critical to have protection, to have privacy, because of ayin hara, due to the fact that there's constant presence of produce there, and the fact that it's in close proximity to people in town. Bottom line is we have a kasha within the lashon. Haguf a kasha, the wording of the Mishnah is inherently difficult to understand. Why? Amris, you start by saying, likewise in the garden, makam shenagal, if in this place the minig is to make a gather, to make a fence, so you can force your neighbor to comply. That's because there was a minhag to do it. But let's say there is no known practice. So you can compel your neighbor, okay? Now let's proceed to the next part of the Mishnah, which speaks about farms out in the wilderness. Aval bika, right? If the accepted practice is not to make a fence, so you can't force him. But let's say there is no practice at all, there's no minhag at all, it's unknown. You can force him. So when it comes to a stam, by gina we say no, by bika we say yes, which is a bit difficult to understand, because if anything, gina needs more protection. Stam gina, if you say by a stam gina, you can't force him. Stam bika, of course, by a bika, which is out in the wilderness, in a deserted place, of course, is that even less of a reason. The Mishnah means like this. A stam gina needs a fence, and even if it's a field out in the hicks, but if there's a minhag to do it, you can force your neighbor. So according to Abaye, in this phrase, the Mishnah is covering 2 points. Because there is more of a need there. And by a bika, if there is a minhag, you do it. Amalei Ravas, whoever responds. But how do you read the next part of the Mishnah? In Cain, if that's what the Mishnah here is referring to, Gina and bika with a minhag, my aval. So what's the Mishnah continuing the next phrase? Aval with bika. We just left off with bika. Why make mention of bika again? I mean, you're talking about bika. Ella Marava says, Rabbi, I'll tell you pshat in the Mishnah. The Mishnah means like this. So again, just for clarity, when the minhag is to make the fence, you can force it. When the minhag is not to make, you can't force. The discussion here revolves around stam. There is no minhag. Says Rabbi like this. By gina, if stam, you do it. It's as though there is a minhag to do it. Because by the gina, it's more important than otherwise, and you can force it. you can force your neighbor to comply. Aval stam bika, the next part of the Mishnah. By a bika, if it's stam, you don't compel, you can't. Because it's as though there would be a minhag not to, because there's a lesser need by the bika than the gina. That's how Rava learns the Mishnah. So again, bottom line, if there's a minhag to do it, we do it. Otherwise, if there's a minhag not to do it, we don't. By stam, says Rava, by gina, yes. By bika, no. Okay, but if you can't force it, we can still make the fence on your side. You build it on your side of the property line. You make some sort of symbol, some sort of indicator of ownership. This way you know, right, down the road. My chazis, what exactly is this chazis? How do you do it? You bend, so to speak, the top corner of the wall outwardly. So you bend it to your neighbor. Why don't you bend it your way? Because then it's going to lose its purpose. Because Avid Chavri Namim Lavar, you never know, your neighbor on the other side of the fence might do the same thing. He might manipulate the stones on his side to face inward towards his direction to indicate ownership on his side. So the only way to really authenticate it, to make sure that it's done right, is by facing it outward. Sorry. So your friend might do it. He'll claim that it's jointly owned, right? So again, Rav Huna says chazis means tilting the stones or the material outwardly towards the neighbor. You can't do it inward because the neighbor might do the same on his side and claim ownership. If that's the case, if that's your concern, then he might be dishonest. Then hashtanami guys the chavre. So what are you proposing? That Reuben, who built the wall, should bend the wall towards Shimon. Well, Shimon might get up in the night, take a nice saw and saw off the protrusion to obliterate any chazas. V'amar now claim that he's a partner. Didi, it's mine and his. Answers the Gemara, Gizuza made the idea. When you chop off and you saw, you see the saw marks, it will be pretty evident that in fact he tried to manipulate things. So again, according to Rav Huna, the chazis is facing out. There's another version. Amar Rav Huna, mikfa l'karnim l'gav. You bend the top corner inwardly. Asks the Gemara of an avid mulavar, why don't you face it out? Guys, the chavre, he might chop it off. Va'amar didivdeu, your neighbor might chop it and claim that it's a jointly owned wall. If that's the case, that you're tilting it inward, hashta nami life the chavre. Well, now the neighbor on the other side of the wall can do the same. He can add some material to the wall and claim ownership. Va'amar, he'll say, Didi, vidideu, it's mine and his. Who? Lifufa made the idea, when you add something to a pre-existing wall, it's noticeable and he won't do it. Asks the Gemara, how could you say, according to this version, that you making the chazas on the inside? The Mishnah says it's done on the exterior side. Kasha, we have no answer to that question. Rabbi Yehuda has a different approach to chazas. Instead of actually tilting the wall, he says like this: you smear an amma, wide swath of cement, of whatever, on the outside. Right? So the top amma on the exterior side, on the other side, is coated with something. And that shows that you on this side, right, Reuven smears it on Shimon's side, which indicates Reuven's ownership. But why don't you do it on Reuven's side? Because then Shimon could do it on his side. V'amar will say, it's mine and his. If that's the case, if that's your concern, so what are we suggesting? That Reuven will paint Shimon's side. Well, the kapelei chavre, Shimon can remove that material and claim ownership. V'amar you'll see that it's peeled off. What about if you're using a cheap picket fence, where cement and all that is not an option? Hutza. Amar Rav Nachman Sunufi Yerechem Alavar. So when they weave the pickets, whatever, so they, when you get to the end of one piece and about to put in a new piece, right, to continue the weave, so the edges, the ends, they'll point out, right? So let's say Reuven, who's on this side, will make sure the material faces outward, that the the ends face to Shimon. It says more of an Avadim Logav. Why doesn't he face it to himself? We're concerned that Shimon on the other side will do the same. V'amar claim ownership. If that's your concern, hashtanami. Now that he's facing it towards his friend, guys, Shimon could just get up quietly and slice it off and throw it away, and it won't be noticeable. V'amar and he'll say, Tina, you cover it with some sort of cement and you fix it into place, so it's not going to be removable. What do you mean? He'll peel off the cement and he'll take care of it. You see that it's peeled off. No, he disagrees. If it's really a picket fence, you can't really manipulate these branches and leaves. It's too flimsy. The only way to really assert ownership is by having a document to indicate ownership. Mishnah concludes, well, if both partners, both neighbors, decided by consensus to build the wall, great. So they make a chazas on both sides. Amar le Rava, in particular Rav Ashi. Why do we need a chazas? Lo yasu, loize, v'loize. Skip the chazas. He shouldn't make, and he shouldn't. Now we know it's a shutfus. Both own it. Amar le. So he says, you're right. Leitzricha must be speaking the kadam chad b'nai v'avididei. That one of these fellows, Reuben, made a chazas for himself. And that leaves Shimon with no choice. If Shimon won't do the chazas on his, Amar Didehu, this will allow Reuben to claim sole ownership. And that's why I have to make a chazas on both sides. Asks the Gemara, if so, it turns out that the Mishnah is speaking about a case of people who are lacking integrity, right? Vitana, and our Tana takanta l'rama. Why would our Tana trouble himself to discuss a case which pertains solely to a case of dishonest people? So he said to him, what do you mean? Let's go back a case, right? Where Reuben paid for the wall. How does he prove ownership? By making a chazas. That's also to protect from dishonesty, right? So what are you so surprised that the Mishnah is speaking about this? He says, no, big difference. In that first case, we can very well understand. The focal point is not protection from thieves. First, there is an interesting din that we're learning there, right? That you can make the wall on your own against your friend's wishes, right? Tana dino, we have the din, the basic halacha. Umishum dina tana takanta. On account of that din, okay, how do you protect your property? By making the chazas. We have the takana. Elo sefer, but in the next case, which we just discussed, we both decide to build by consensus, which is a very simple halacha that we don't even need to talk about in the Mishnah. Dinok tani, is there a new din being taught here which would justify this whole point of protection from, right? The Tani Takanta. I mean, if the din is important to know, fine. So we speak about the din. On account of the din, we throw in the idea of the chazas, to protect from, But if the whole concept is sort of superfluous, well, if they both decide to build what they build, of course, obviously, so then why even get involved in it? Amra Avina Hacha Behutzi Askinan. You know why? The Mishnah is speaking about a cheap, fence made of branch material. And the Mishnah is trying to make a point. Lafukim dabai, as opposed to what Abai just told us a minute ago. The Amar says, when it comes to this type of fence, the only way to ascertain ownership is by having a document. Kamashman, that's the point of the Mishnah. No. The Bechaz is sag, even by a hutza fence, you can manipulate the material in a way which signifies ownership. That's the main point of the Mishnah here. Continues the Mishnah. Reuven purchased 3 fields on 3 sides of Shimon's field, right in the middle. So Shimon's in the middle. Reuven has a field on the east, on the west, on the north. And Reuven decides to erect a fence between his fields, and Shimon's right in the middle. So he's basically surrounding Shimon's field from 3 sides now, with a fence. All 3 fields now have a fence between them and Shimon's field. Leaving Shimon surrounded only by 3 sides. So you can't force him to pay for it. Rashi says, look, we just finished the Mishnah, right? When it comes to a bika, you can't compel him. Rabbi Yossi, but in Amad V'Gadar Seravis, he went and added a fourth fence on the fourth side. So now he has benefit. Now he has protection from wild beasts, and right. Now he has to contribute to the entire circle of fences. That's the opinion that we adopt. The Amar im Amad V'Gadar Seravis, if a fourth fence was added on the fourth side, now he has to go and contribute to the expense of all the fences. And it doesn't matter who added the fence. Loishna Amad Nikaf V'loishna Amad Makaf. Doesn't matter whether Nikaf, the fellow who was surrounded, that's Shimon, added the fourth wall. Doesn't matter if the Makaf, if Reuben added the fourth, resulting in Shimon being fully surrounded, fully benefiting from this protection. He has to contribute to all four walls. Itma, we have a discussion. Rav Huna Amar, how much does he have to pay? As per the actual cost of those walls, which were high quality walls, whatever Reuben built, Shimon has to contribute. Shimon can say, look, I'll contribute, but only as per a cheap fence. Mekonim, some picket fence made from sticks. Cheap material. Tanan, let's go back and take a look at the Mishnah. Right? Regardless of Rishayna. At this point, you can't force him to pay. Let's make a diuk in the Tanakama. Haravias. But let's say there's a fourth wall. Now you can force him. Let's move on to Rabbi Yossi. If he added a fourth wall, now we can force him to pay for everything. Now, there must be a difference between Tanakama and Rabbi Yossi. Well, they both seem to be saying the same thing. Once we're fully surrounded, he benefits, he has to pay. But what is the machlekes? So according to Rav Huna, who just told us, that according to Rabbi Yossi, he has to pay in full as per the actual value of the wall. Rabbi Yossi, that could very well be the point of dispute between Tanakama, who says we don't send him the full bill, and Rabbi Yossi says he does. Tanakama is right. Tanakama says sure, he has to pay for everything, but prorated as per the cheapest material. Right? And that. But not what he actually used. You can't force him to pay for expensive wall. Rabbi Yossi says, no. Rabbi Yossi says, look, you're benefiting from what he did, you have to pay as per what he did. According to the other opinion, which holds that even according to Rabbi Yossi, he'll only pay minimum, expense. So then Tanakama and Rabbi Yossi seem to be saying the same thing. What's the machlekes? Ma'ika bein Tanakama Rabbi Yossi. If Tanakama does not obligate him to pay even for sticks and pickets, so what is he paying for? Says the Gemara, you know what? There's something cheaper than the fence. Paying for a guard, for a watchman. It also affords protection. I'm not interested in paying for a fence. I'll pay for, a person to walk around. Tanakama holds, agar natira in. You can force him to pay, but only for a guard, which is cheaper than a fence. You can't even force him to pay for a cheap fence, because he's benefiting from protection. The cheapest form of protection is the only thing you can force him to pay. Rabbi Yossi savar dmei kanim bezoil. He must pay at least for dmei kanim bezoil, which is a reasonable expense. Maybe it's more reliable, whatever. Okay. Rabbi is saying another option. Rishoina, right? We speak about sending him the bill, right? Bill for what? Remember, until he got the fourth side protected, nobody, Tanakama or Rabbi Yossi, considered Shimon responsible, right? Nobody required him to pay. But once he gets the fourth wall up, he has to pay. The question is, how much does he have to pay? For part of the fourth? but not for the other three, which were already done. And he was patur on those, right? It's over, it's gone. Past is past. Or do we say no? Now it sort of reawakens everything. And he's chayav to pay for a portion of everything. So that's the machlekes here. People say Rishoina, Shnia, Ushlishis, who pays for the first three walls? That's the point of discussion. Tanakama says, Rabbi Yehuda, who'll pay for part of the fourth. Aval, Rishoina, Shnia, Ushlishis, Loi Yovle, he won't pay a penny for the first three walls. Rashi says, because Shekvar Yotzim Hem Zaka Bebezdin, the Bezdin already exempted him on those. It's done, it's gone. Rabbi says, no, it's still pending. When he gets to the point that he benefits from them, he has to pay. Rishoina, Shnia, Shlishis, Nami Yovle, he has to pay for those three as well. You say another option in the machlekes could be like this: Makif, V'nikav, he could out. Depends who added the fourth wall, Shimon or Reuben. Reuben is the makif, the one that's surrounding, and Shimon is the nikav, the one that is being surrounded. So what's the machlekes? Tanakam Savar. Tanakam Savar, time of nikav. The megalgal novs hakoil. The only way we can obligate Shimon the nikav to pay for everything, for part of everything, is if he got up and he added the fourth wall. Oh, now he's indicating that he's pleased, that he's sort of accepting upon himself. He's benefiting from everything. And that triggers liability for everything. But if Reuben did it, so sure, now Shimon is benefiting, but you can only obligate him to pay part of the fourth wall. For the other ones, you can't. It's over. Doesn't matter who did it. Once he gets to the fourth wall, he pays for part of everything. There's another version. Similar version. That again depends who did it. That's the machlekes between Tanakama and Rabbi Yossi. Tanakama savar im godar makif as Rabbi Yossi nam yoyevle. Tanakama says even if the makif completed the encirclement, Shimon has to pay for a portion of the entire expense. Rabbi Yossi savar im avad nikaf v'godar as Rabbi Yossi hu yoyevle. It's only true if Shimon got up and did the fourth wall, then he has to contribute. The Goli died nichalei because he just indicated that he's benefiting from this enclosure. But if the makif did it, he doesn't do anything. He's potter totally. So bottom line, we had a Mishnah with Shimon surrounded by Reuben and now encircled by a fence, which Reuben paid for. He doesn't have to contribute. But if there's a fourth wall, which now completes the hekif and actually benefits Shimon inside, he has to pay. How much does he have to pay? Well, you have Tanakam, you have Rabbi Yossi, and many, many ways to learn the machlekes. Now, in Aleph, we learned about Bava Basra, who advised who does to rebuild the Beis Hamikdash as an atonement for killing the Chachamim, to restore the light, to restore the clarity in Klal Yisrael. He manipulated the Romans in a way that he was able to get it by them. And we continue learning about the Kaisel being built and how to do indications of ownership in a way that protects the sponsor from any unwanted challenges. All the best to you, Natzlach Hara.